What happened at your school that still doesn't feel real? It started on a Tuesday morning when Principal Hayes called an emergency assembly for all juniors. No explanation, just a message over the intercom saying we had 10 minutes to report to the auditorium. The teachers looked confused too, which was the first weird thing. Usually they knew about assemblies days in advance. We filed into the auditorium and sat in our usual sections by homeroom. Principal Hayes stood on stage with 3 people I'd never seen before. 2 men in dark suits and a woman in a gray blazer, all holding folders. They looked like government officials or lawyers. Principal Hayes cleared his throat and said there would be some routine administrative meetings over the next few weeks. Starting immediately, students would be called to the guidance office individually during study periods. The woman in gray stepped forward and added that participation was mandatory, and anyone who missed their appointment would face serious consequences. She emphasized the word serious in a way that made the whole auditorium go quiet. Then they dismissed us without explaining what the meetings were actually for. My best friend Marcus turned to me in the hallway afterward and said that was the strangest assembly he'd ever sat through. Over the next 3 days, students started getting pulled from class. The pattern was subtle at first. During second period on Wednesday, the intercom crackled, and Mrs. Rodriguez was asked to send Amy Palmer to the guidance office with her belongings. Amy gathered her stuff looking nervous and left. She didn't come back for the rest of the day. Thursday morning, 2 more students from my grade got called during homeroom. Both took their backpacks. By Friday, 7 juniors total had been pulled. None of them were talking about what happened in those meetings. I tried asking Amy in the cafeteria what it was about, and she got this look on her face like she was terrified. She said she couldn't discuss it and walked away mid-conversation. Marcus noticed something I hadn't. All the students being called were juniors who'd signed up for the military recruitment presentation last month. Amy had signed up for Army information. Tyler Rodriguez, who got pulled Thursday, had signed up for Marines. The pattern was too specific to be coincidental. That's when teachers started acting different. Our history teacher, Mr. Walsh, kept stepping into the hallway during class to take phone calls. I saw him through the door window once, and his face looked stressed, angry almost. Mrs. Liu, who taught English, started locking her classroom door during lunch when she'd always left it open before, and Coach Stevens stopped showing up to morning practice without explanation. Monday of the following week, the calls intensified. 12 students pulled in one day, all juniors, all from that military presentation list Marcus had remembered. The guidance office had a security guard posted outside the door now, which had never happened before. Students who got called started missing entire days of school afterward. Marcus got his call on Tuesday during third period. I watched him collect his backpack with shaking hands. He looked back at me before leaving and mouthed, "I'll text you." He never texted. His phone went straight to voicemail when I tried calling after school. His mom answered their home phone and said Marcus was sick and couldn't talk, but I'd literally seen him healthy 4 hours earlier. I started skipping study hall to watch the guidance office from down the hallway. The 3 people in suits were there every day. Students would go in looking nervous and come out looking worse. Pale, sometimes crying, always silent. On Thursday, I saw Tyler Rodriguez come out with his parents, and his dad was yelling at Principal Hayes about lawsuits and illegal questioning. That's when I noticed the windows. The guidance office had frosted windows that you normally couldn't see through, but someone had covered them completely from inside with paper, like they didn't want anyone seeing what happened in those meetings, even shadows or shapes. Friday morning, I got my call. Second period, my name over the intercom. Mrs. Rodriguez looked at me with this expression I couldn't read, almost like pity. I gathered my things and walked to the guidance office with my heart pounding. The security guard checked my student ID before letting me in. Inside, all 3 suited officials sat at a conference table. Principal Hayes stood in the corner. They gestured to an empty chair facing them. The woman in gray opened her folder and pulled out papers with my name on them, and that's when I saw what was really happening. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. The woman in gray slides a folder across the table toward me. Inside are papers stamped classified in bold red letters. My hands shake as I open it. "These documents detail what we're actually doing here," she says, her voice flat and emotionless. "Since you've demonstrated unusual awareness of our operation, we've decided to bring you in rather than process you like the others." I flip through the pages, my throat tightening with each new revelation. The folder contains detailed information about something called Project Neural Frontier, a military recruitment program specifically targeting high school students. Not just any students. Students like me who showed interest in military careers. "I don't understand," I whisper, but the words die in my throat as I turn to page 3. There, highlighted in yellow, is Marcus's name on a list marked Phase 2. 12 names total, all juniors who attended that military presentation, all pulled from class this week. "Your friend Marcus has shown exceptional neural plasticity," says one of the men in suits. "He has a military haircut and speaks with clipped precision. Phase 2 candidates undergo more extensive memory modification procedures." Memory modification? The words feel foreign on my tongue. Principal Hayes clears his throat from the corner. "The program identifies students with specific cognitive profiles. Those who signed up for the military presentation essentially pre-screened themselves as candidates." The woman in gray nods. "Traditional military recruitment begins too late. By 18, neural pathways are already too established for optimal programming. We need younger minds." My stomach turns as I continue reading. The documents explain how they've been monitoring me since I signed that interest form at the military presentation. They've analyzed my class participation, my writing assignments, even my social media activity. "The future of warfare isn't about physical strength," the second man explains, leaning forward. "It's about neural programming, the ability to process information rapidly and execute commands without hesitation or emotional interference." I look up from the papers, my voice barely audible. "You're experimenting on us?" "We prefer the term advanced training protocols," the woman corrects. "Students volunteer when they sign up for military information. It's all in the fine print." Principal Hayes steps forward, his expression a mixture of defensiveness and pride. "Each participating student represents significant funding for Oakwood. The district receives payment for every successful candidate." The realization hits me like a physical blow. low. You're selling us. We're investing in national security, Principal Hayes counters, but he can't meet my eyes. The program has been running for 3 years with remarkable success. The first man slides another document toward me, a non-disclosure agreement. You have 2 options. Join Phase 2 willingly, or face serious consequences for interfering with a classified military operation. What happened to the other students? I ask, thinking of Amy's terrified face in the cafeteria. Memory adjustment, the woman answers simply. They return to class with no recollection of our meetings. Instead, they remember a routine guidance session about college applications. I think about the 12 students polled yesterday, about Marcus. And Phase 2, the 3 officials exchange glances before the woman responds. More extensive neural programming. The candidates receive specialized training they won't consciously remember. Their minds are being prepared for advanced military applications. This is illegal, I say, my voice stronger now. You can't experiment on minors without consent. The second man laughs, a cold sound devoid of humor. Your parents signed consent forms at the beginning of the school year. Standard district paperwork with very specific language buried on page 7. My mind races, trying to process everything. The covered windows, the security guard, Tyler Rodriguez's father threatening lawsuits. What if I refuse to sign this? I ask, pushing the non-disclosure agreement back across the table. The woman's smile doesn't reach her eyes. That would be unfortunate for you and your family. Before I can respond, the first man stands and retrieves a small case from a cabinet. Inside is what looks like a vaccination gun. Standard procedure, he explains, approaching me. A tracking device, completely harmless, but it allows us to monitor your location and vital signs. I try to stand, but the second man's hand clamps down on my shoulder, keeping me in place. This will only hurt for a moment, he says, as the first man presses the device against my arm. There's a sharp sting, and then a strange warmth spreads through my body. The room begins to blur around the edges. The disorientation is temporary, the woman in gray says, her voice sounding distant. When you wake up, you'll remember coming to the guidance office to discuss college applications. Nothing more. I try to fight the heaviness in my limbs, but whatever they've injected me with works quickly. The last thing I see before darkness claims me is Principal Hayes looking away, guilt written across his face. When I wake up, I'm walking down the hallway back to class, my backpack slung over my shoulder. For a moment, I feel confused, trying to remember what happened in my guidance meeting. Something about college applications? The details seem foggy, just out of reach. I check my phone and see I've only been gone 40 minutes. As I reach for the classroom door handle, a sharp pain shoots through my arm. I roll up my sleeve and see a small red mark, like a vaccination site. That's when it hits me, flashes of memory breaking through whatever they did to me. Classified documents, Marcus's name on a list, military experiments, memory modification. I lean against the wall, my heart racing as the fake memories they tried to implant battle with what actually happened. I remember everything. The injection didn't work properly. Or maybe I'm just one of those people whose minds resist manipulation. Either way, I know too much now, and they're going to realize soon that their memory wipe failed. I need to find Marcus. I need proof. I need to expose what's happening at Oakwood before more students disappear into Phase 3, whatever that might be. I take a deep breath, force my face into a neutral expression, and walk into class like nothing happened. Like I don't know our school has become a military recruitment lab. Like I don't know they're watching me. Mrs. Rodriguez looks up as I enter, that same pitying expression on her face. She knows something. Maybe she can help. But first, I need to find out what happened to Marcus, and I need to figure out how to remove whatever tracking device they just put inside me before they realize I remember everything. I stumble back into Mr. Walsh's classroom, feeling like I'm walking underwater. Everything seems slightly off, like someone shifted all the furniture 2 inches to the left. The fluorescent lights buzz too loudly, and the clock on the wall seems to be ticking at half speed. The Reconstruction era began in. Mr. Walsh's voice fades in and out as I try to focus on his lecture. There's a gap in my memory that I can't quite fill. I remember walking to the guidance office, sitting down across from Principal Hayes and those 3 officials, and then fragments. Classified documents, Marcus's name, something about neural programming. My arm throbs where they injected me. When I touch the spot, it feels warm and slightly raised, like there's something just beneath my skin that doesn't belong there. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Carefully, I slide it out and check the screen under my desk. It's from Marcus. Don't trust what they tell you. Nothing is routine. My heart races. Marcus hasn't been in school for 2 days. I try to text back, but the message fails to deliver. I try again. Nothing. When the bell rings, I'm the first one out the door. In the crowded hallway, I spot Amy by her locker and make my way toward her, but she turns away when she sees me coming. Her face is blank, like she's looking through me instead of at me. Amy, I say, touching her arm. Have you heard from Marcus? She blinks slowly. Who? Marcus. Our friend since freshman year, sits with us at lunch every day. Amy's expression doesn't change. I don't know anyone named Marcus. Are you feeling okay? Before I can respond, the overhead speakers crackle to life. The following students please report to the guidance office. Jason Chen, Eliza Washington, and Tara Patel. 3 more names. 3 more students who won't come back the same. I retreat to the bathroom and lock myself in a stall, trying to piece together what happened in that office. The memories are there, but hazy, like trying to recall a dream after waking. I reach for my backpack to grab my water bottle and feel something unfamiliar inside the front pocket. It's a small black device, no bigger than a USB drive. I turn it over in my hand and realize with a jolt that it's an audio recorder. I have no memory of putting it there. With trembling fingers, I press play and hear voices emerge from the tiny speaker. Partial memory wipe failure in approximately 18% of subjects. It's the woman in gray's voice, particularly in candidates with high cognitive resistance. What about the girl from this morning? Principal Hayes asks. Standard procedure. If she retains memories, the tracker will alert us to elevated stress responses. We'll bring her back for a more thorough wipe. And if that fails, Principal Hayes again, sounding nervous. Then she becomes a Phase 2 candidate like her friend Marcus. The first man's voice is cold. Some minds are too valuable to waste, even the resistant ones. The recording ends abruptly. I sit frozen, the recorder clutched in my sweating palm. I don't remember placing it in my bag. Did I do this subconsciously? Or did someone else want me to hear this? After school, I wait by Amy's car in the parking lot. When she approaches, I step directly into her path. Amy, please. I know something happened to you in that office. Her eyes dart nervously toward the school building. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do? I lower my voice. They're doing something to students. Military experiments. Memory modification. Amy's carefully blank expression cracks for just a second. Fear flashes across her face before she composes herself. Meet me at Riverside Park, 6 o'clock. Not here. They're watching. I follow her gaze and notice 2 unmarked black vans parked at the edge of the school parking lot. Men in dark sunglasses stand beside them, pretending to check their phones while scanning the crowd of departing students. At home, I research neural programming and memory manipulation on my laptop, but after 20 minutes, my browser crashes. When I restart it, all my search history has been erased. The tracking device in my arm seems to pulse with heat. At 5:45, I tell my parents I'm going for a run and head to Riverside Park. Amy is already waiting on a bench far from the main paths, her hood pulled up despite the warm weather. I remember some of it, she whispers when I sit beside her. They showed me pictures that made me hallucinate, sounds that made me see things that weren't there. They said they were preparing our minds for advanced integration. Integration with what? I don't know. But after they finished, they told me I'd been discussing college applications, and the worst part is, I almost believed them. The fake memories felt so real. What about Marcus? Do you remember him now? Amy nods slowly. They tried to erase him completely, but I found this. She pulls out her phone and shows me a photo of the 3 of us from last year's homecoming game. I keep looking at it to remind myself. The next day at school, security has doubled. There's a guard at every entrance, and I count 4 of those unmarked vans in the parking lot. During third period, I pass by Mrs. Rodriguez's classroom and hear muffled sobbing from inside. I peek through the small window in the door. The classroom is empty except for Mrs. Rodriguez, who sits at her desk with her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. I knock softly and enter. Mrs. Rodriguez, are you okay? She looks up, startled, quickly wiping her eyes. You shouldn't be here. What's wrong? I ask, closing the door behind me. She stares at me for a long moment, then something in her seems to break. My son, she whispers. He was in the first group 3 years ago. The first group? Before they called it Neural Frontier. It was Operation Malleable then. Her voice cracks. They said it was an advanced placement opportunity. Special training for gifted students. Miguel was so excited. What happened to him? He came back different. Started having nightmares, seizures, said he could hear voices telling him to do things. She pulls a tissue from her desk. When I tried to get help, they said he was schizophrenic, but he wasn't. It was what they did to him. Mrs. Rodriguez, they're watching me, she interrupts. I can't help you. I've already said too much. She stands abruptly. You should go. Forget we had this conversation. That night, Amy and I talk on the phone, planning how to gather evidence against Principal Hayes. We agree to meet early tomorrow to search his office before the first bell. But at 11:30 p.m., my parents knock on my bedroom door. My father's face is grim. The school called, he says. They're concerned about your behavior. They've scheduled you for a follow-up guidance session first thing tomorrow morning. What? Why? They mentioned something about erratic behavior and possible memory issues. My mother looks worried. They said it's standard procedure for students under stress. I feel the blood drain from my face. They know. The tracker in my arm has been monitoring me all along, and now they're bringing me back in to finish what they started. I'm fine. I insist. I don't need to see the guidance counselor. It's already arranged, my father says firmly. Principal Hayes specifically requested it. He said it's important for your academic future. As they leave my room, I text Amy with shaking hands. They're bringing me back in tomorrow morning. If I don't remember afterward, don't give up on me. Her response comes seconds later. I'll find you. Stay strong. Remember, Marcus. I stare at the ceiling, knowing that by this time tomorrow, they'll try to erase everything I've discovered. But this time, I'll be ready. I slip the audio recorder into my sock and tape a note inside my shoe. Trust nothing. Find Amy. Remember. Sleep doesn't come as I lie awake, wondering what Phase 3 has in store for students like me who resist their memory wipes, wondering if I'll still be myself tomorrow. I slip a tiny microphone into the collar of my jacket, testing it with a quick tap that sends a sharp static through my phone's earbuds. It's not professional grade, just something I ordered online with rush delivery, but it's all I've got. You don't have to do this, Amy whispers as we huddle in the empty chemistry lab before first period. They'll know. They're going to wipe my memory again anyway, I say, adjusting the microphone. At least this way we'll have proof. The morning announcement system crackles to life, and Principal Hayes' voice fills the room. Attention students. Due to recent concerns, all student club meetings are suspended until further notice. Additionally, the following students report to the guidance office immediately. Layla Martinez, Carlos Diaz, and Kevin Patel. 3 more names. 3 more students who won't come back the same. I walk to the guidance office with my heart hammering so hard I'm afraid the microphone will pick it up. The security guard nods at me as I approach, speaking into his radio. Subject has arrived. Subject, not student. Principal Hayes is waiting with the same 3 officials from before, the 2 men in suits and the woman in gray. The windows are still covered with paper. The door closes behind me with a soft click. Please, sit down, the woman says, gesturing to the chair across from her. We understand you've been experiencing some confusion since our last meeting. I sit, trying to keep my breathing steady. I'm not confused at all. The first man slides a folder across the table. Your teachers report erratic behavior, asking about students who don't exist, speaking about classified military programs. This is concerning. You mean Marcus? I say his name clearly, making sure the microphone picks it up. My best friend, who you've put into Phase 2? The officials exchange glances. The woman in gray leans forward. There is no student named Marcus at this school. There never has been. That's a lie, I say, my voice stronger than I feel. You're experimenting on students. Neural programming. Memory manipulation. I remember everything. Principal Hayes steps forward, his expression a mixture of concern and frustration. This is exactly the delusional behavior we're worried about. Perhaps we should call your parents. Like you called Tyler Rodriguez's parents? I ask. His father is threatening to sue the school. I heard he's already contacted a lawyer. Principal Hayes pales slightly. Mr. Rodriguez is dealing with personal issues that have nothing to do with school programs. Is that what you call it when a student comes back with neurological damage? I press, remembering Mrs. Rodriguez's tears. Personal issues? The second man clears his throat. This conversation is becoming counterproductive. counterproductive. I think it's time we move forward with the procedure. What procedure? I demand, though I already know. A more thorough memory adjustment, the woman in gray says calmly, opening a metal case on the table. The first one clearly didn't take. I stand abruptly, knocking my chair backward. You can't keep doing this. People are starting to notice. A reporter from the local paper was asking questions yesterday. It's a bluff, but I see panic flash across Principal Hayes' face. What reporter? Who have you been talking to? Before I can answer, the door bursts open. Mrs. Liu, our chemistry teacher, stands there clutching a stack of papers. Sorry to interrupt, but she stops, taking in the scene before her. Her eyes lock with mine for a brief moment, and I see something there. Recognition, understanding. Not now, Principal Hayes snaps. Of course, sorry. Mrs. Liu backs out, but not before dropping a paper that slides toward my feet. As I bend to pick it up, I see it's a chemical analysis of the cafeteria food. Something circled in red. A compound I don't recognize. The woman in gray snatches the paper from my hand. You need to leave, Mrs. Liu. This is a private meeting. After she's gone, the first man turns to me. This has gone far enough. You're interfering with matters of national security. By asking questions about my missing friend, I challenge. Or by noticing that you're drugging students through the cafeteria food. The second man's head snaps up. What did you just say? I'm flying blind now, guessing based on Mrs. Liu's paper, but their reactions tell me I've hit something real. The experimental compounds in the food. That's how you're preparing us for the neural programming, isn't it? That night, after they try and fail again to wipe my memory, I find Marcus. It takes hours of searching, following fragments of memories and hunches, but I finally locate him at the abandoned military recruitment center on the edge of town. He's huddled in a back room, surrounded by stolen files and empty energy drink cans. You shouldn't be here, he says when he sees me. His eyes are sunken, his skin pale. They'll track you. I disabled it, I tell him, showing him the small incision on my arm, where Amy's older brother helped me remove the tracking device. It's over, Marcus laughs, a hollow sound that echoes in the empty room. It's not over, it's just beginning. He pulls back his hair to reveal a small scar behind his ear. Phase 2 isn't just memory manipulation. They're implanting devices, neural interfaces that let them control what we perceive, what we think. He shows me his research, documents he stole before escaping. Project Neural Frontier isn't just about military recruitment. It's about creating soldiers whose minds can be programmed remotely, who can be controlled without question. We need to tell everyone, I say, uploading the audio recording I made to a secure cloud server. We need to organize. Word spreads quietly among the students who've started to question the memory gaps, the strange behaviors. We arrange a secret meeting in the abandoned theater downtown, away from the school's surveillance. 37 students show up. Some I recognize from the lists I saw in those classified documents. Others are friends or siblings of those who've been taken. We share stories, compare experiences, piece together the full scope of what's happening at Oakwood. Coach Stevens arrives halfway through the meeting. Everyone tenses, ready to run, but he raises his hands in surrender. I know what they're doing, he says, his voice grave. I was part of the original research team before I left the military. What they're doing now goes far beyond what was ever authorized. He explains the technology, the neural interfaces, the memory manipulation techniques, how they're testing the limits of control, seeing how far they can push young minds before they break. They chose high schools because teenage brains are still developing, he tells us. More malleable, easier to program. Before we can formulate a plan, the doors burst open. Military officials flood in, led by the woman in gray. In the chaos, 3 students are taken, grabbed and dragged away, despite our attempts to help them. The rest of us scatter, running through emergency exits and back alleys. I clutch my phone with the uploaded evidence, knowing it might be our only chance. The next morning, Mrs. Liu finds me before school starts. I've been documenting everything, she whispers, passing me a flash drive. The chemical compounds, the effects, the pattern of students. I knew something was wrong when my best student started forgetting basic concepts overnight. With her help and Coach Stevens' inside knowledge, we compile irrefutable evidence of what's happening. But Principal Hayes is already moving to discredit me. We're concerned about her mental health. I overhear him telling my parents when I arrive home that afternoon. Paranoid delusions, conspiracy theories. We're recommending immediate psychiatric evaluation. My parents look worried, confused. For weeks they've dismissed my concerns, attributed my behavior to normal teenage stress. But now, with the evidence spread across our kitchen table, the audio recordings, Mrs. Liu's chemical analyses, Coach Stevens' testimony, and the testimonies of dozens of students, they finally believe me. They're going to try to reset all of you. Coach Stevens warns us during our emergency meeting in Amy's basement. Once they realize how many of you remember, they'll initiate protocol blackout, a complete neural reset of everyone involved. We have one chance, one opportunity to expose everything before they can stop us. The next morning, while Principal Hayes and the military officials are in their daily briefing, I sneak into the school's broadcast room. The morning announcements are about to begin, but today they'll hear more than lunch menus and club updates. With shaking hands, I override the system and connect my phone to the speakers. Evidence uploads to every screen in the school as my voice echoes through every classroom. This is not a drill. For 3 years, Oakwood High has been the site of illegal military experimentation on students. The proof is on your screens right now. The military officials in our school have been altering memories, implanting neural devices, and experimenting with mind control technology on minors without consent. I hear shouting in the hallway, footsteps running toward the broadcast room. Look for the gaps in your memories. I continue urgently. The friends you suddenly can't remember. The missing time. It's all real. They've been manipulating us, preparing us for something called Neural Frontier. But it ends today. The door bursts open just as I finish uploading everything to the school network, to social media, to local news stations. The woman in gray lunges for me, but it's too late. The truth is out, and no memory wipe can put it back in the dark. I wake up to the sound of helicopters. For a moment, I'm disoriented, thinking it's part of a dream about military operations and neural programming. Then I realize the noise is real, and it's directly above our school. I rush to the window of my bedroom and see the local news helicopter hovering over Oakwood High. My phone buzzes with notifications, dozens of them. Texts from Amy, from classmates I haven't spoken to in weeks, even from students I barely know. All saying variations of the same thing. They're here. It worked. Turn on the news. My hands shake as I grab the remote and switch on my TV. Channel 7's breaking news banner banner scrolls across the bottom of the screen. Allegations of illegal military experimentation at local high school prompt federal investigation. The reporter stands in front of Oakwood, surrounded by news vans and police cars. Sources tell us that evidence of unauthorized military experiments on minors was broadcast throughout the school yesterday morning. The FBI has arrived on scene and is currently securing the premises. Parents have gathered outside, demanding answers about their children's involvement in what appears to be a classified military recruitment program called Neural Frontier. The camera pans to show dozens of parents holding signs and shouting at officials. I spot Tyler Rodriguez's father at the front, megaphone in hand, leading the crowd in chants of, "Where are our children?" My phone rings. It's my mom. "Are you watching this?" she asks, her voice tight with anxiety. "Your father and I are coming home right now. Don't go anywhere." I hang up and text Amy. "Are you seeing this?" "Yes," she replies immediately. "I'm at the school. You need to get here. They're bringing Marcus back." I throw on clothes and race downstairs, grabbing my bike from the garage. My parents will be furious, but this is too important to miss. As I pedal towards school, more news helicopters circle overhead, and I can hear sirens in the distance. When I arrive, the scene is chaos. News crews interview parents and students. Police officers create a perimeter around the building. Men and women in dark suits and FBI windbreakers move purposefully through the crowd. I spot Amy standing with Mrs. Rodriguez near the front entrance. Her face lights up when she sees me, and she waves me over. "They're questioning Principal Hayes right now," she says, her voice breathless with excitement. "And look," she points to a group of students being escorted from unmarked vans into the building. Among them is Marcus, looking pale and disoriented, but alive. "They found them at a military facility 40 miles from here," Mrs. Rodriguez explains, tears streaming down her face. "Miguel is with them too. My son is coming home." Before I can respond, there's a commotion at the main doors. Principal Hayes emerges, flanked by FBI agents. His face is ashen, his usual confident demeanor replaced by barely concealed panic. As he's led to a waiting vehicle, he spots me in the crowd. Our eyes lock for a moment, and I see something I never expected: fear. One of the agents approaches us. "Are you the student who made the broadcast?" he asks me. I nod, suddenly nervous. "We need to speak with you. Your testimony is critical to our investigation." Inside, the school has been transformed into a command center. Computers and equipment fill the gymnasium, and agents move between stations with purpose. In a corner, medical personnel attend to the returned students, checking vitals and removing the tracking devices from their arms. I'm led to a makeshift interview room, actually. Mr. Walsh's classroom, with the desks pushed aside. Two agents introduce themselves and ask me to start from the beginning. For the next 3 hours, I tell them everything. The initial meeting with the woman in gray and the two men, the classified documents, the memory wipes that didn't take, Marcus's disappearance, the recordings, Mrs. Liu's chemical analysis of the cafeteria food, Coach Stevens' testimony about the original research. "This is the most egregious violation of human experimentation laws we've seen in decades," one agent says, shaking her head as she reviews my evidence. By afternoon, the story has gone national. Congressional representatives issue statements demanding investigations. Military officials deny knowledge of unauthorized programs. The Department of Defense places all personnel connected to Neural Frontier on administrative leave pending investigation. Outside, the parent protest has grown to hundreds. They form a human chain around the school, demanding transparency and accountability. News crews broadcast live as more students are returned, many disoriented and confused, with significant memory gaps. Marcus finds me as medical staff finish removing his tracking implant. The small scar behind his ear is still visible, but the device that controlled his perceptions is gone. "I remember everything now," he says, his voice hollow. "What they made me see, what they made me do." His hands shake slightly as he speaks a tremor the doctors say might be permanent neurological damage from the experimental procedures. "They were preparing us for something bigger," he continues. "Phase 3 wasn't just about controlling our perceptions. It was about turning us into weapons, making us see enemies where there were none." 2 weeks later, I sit in a wood-paneled hearing room in Washington, D.C., facing a special congressional committee. Cameras flash as I describe how a high school became a military testing ground without parents' knowledge or consent. The students were chosen because their minds were still developing. I explain, my voice amplified by microphones. They targeted those who showed interest in military careers because they could hide behind recruitment paperwork. The woman in gray and her colleagues sit at another table, their attorneys whispering urgently in their ears. They face federal charges for unauthorized human experimentation, conspiracy, and violations of medical ethics laws. Back at Oakwood, things are slowly changing. The school board fired Principal Hayes immediately after his arrest. The new principal, Dr. Winters, has implemented strict transparency protocols for all external programs. Every visitor must sign in digitally, and all meetings with students are recorded. Medical teams have developed procedures to safely remove the tracking implants and neural interfaces. Most students recover fully, though some, like Marcus, face ongoing challenges. His hands still shake when he's stressed, and sometimes he sees things that aren't there, echoes of the programming they forced into his mind. We've started a support group for the victims. 38 students meet weekly in the library to share experiences and healing strategies. Mrs. Rodriguez facilitates, channeling her anger into advocacy. Her son Miguel attends too, though he rarely speaks. 3 years under their control left deeper scars than most. Mrs. Liu returned to teaching chemistry, but now includes special lectures on ethics and scientific research. Coach Stevens provides insights into the military technology that was used on us, helping students understand what was done to them. The cafeteria food is now prepared by a new company with independent testing for any unusual compounds. Windows that were once covered with paper are now transparent. Guidance sessions are recorded and parents receive immediate notifications when their children are called in. 3 years later, I sit in another hearing room as the president signs the Neural Protection Act, legislation directly resulting from my testimony. It establishes strict oversight for any research involving neural manipulation and bans all experimental procedures on minors, regardless of parental consent forms. Marcus stands beside me, his hand steady for the first time in years as we witness the signing. The tremors haven't disappeared completely, but they've lessened with time and therapy. He's studying neuroscience now, determined to understand what was done to him and develop ethical technologies to help others with similar trauma. As cameras flash around us, I think about how quickly it all unraveled once the truth came came to light. How Principal Hayes' empire of secrets collapsed when faced with the simple power of students who refused to forget. How the woman in gray underestimated the resilience of teenage minds. The military officials received sentences ranging from 10 to 25 years. Principal Hayes testified against them in exchange for a reduced sentence of 5 years. The school district established a victim compensation fund for affected students, covering ongoing medical and psychological treatment. But some things can't be compensated. Some memories can't be erased. Not by time, not by therapy, not even by the technology they used against us. Some wounds become part of who you are. Was it worth it? A reporter asks me after the signing ceremony. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all again? I look at Marcus, at the scar behind his ear, at the slight tremor that returns to his hand under the bright lights. I think about the nightmares I still have, the way I still check for hidden microphones in my backpack every morning out of habit. Truth is always worth it, I tell her, even when it costs you everything.